Hello, you're listening to Over the Oxer podcast with Tracy Cole for all things to do with the mind for equestrians. Welcome to the podcast. I want to talk today about something a little bit quirky. I want to talk about something that is quite bizarre, and it's a relationship that is between our brains and our hands. And, well, let's just dive in. It hopefully is a little bit gripping. So if this has ever happened to you, you know, you've memorised your dressage test, or you thought you did, line by line, you've drawn it out, you've practiced it, you've done everything until you can just do it in your sleep. And then you get into the arena and your brain just shuts down. Or you have aimed to memorise a jumping course, show jumping or cross country. And again, you sort of got it, but when it comes to it, you sort of haven't, and you're doing it on instinct more than anything else. Well, that kind of learning, we've all been there, where we've kind of just hoped that inspiration will come to us in the moment and we can remember which way to go. It makes it quite difficult if we have any kind of performance anxiety on top of that. And we may just have that flutter of nerves. It may not be anxiety as such. It may just be that, you know, we've got those anticipatory nerves, let's say. So we can do something for all of that, for the type of thing where you need to recall something that you've learnt, and it's usually something like a floor plan of some description. So sometimes we spend so much time training our horses and training ourselves physically, but we actually forget to train our brains. And there is a simple physical trick that could help your brain to lock in those memories more easily and then recall them when you need them most. So it's a little bit of a life hack. It has been floating around for some time. It comes from a research study in 2013. So this study, which was comically called, which I always find a little bit amusing because usually scientific articles don't necessarily have any kind of humour to them, but it was called Getting a Grip on Memory. And it was led by Ruth Propper at Montclair State University. So what you have to do was try and think about how to activate the right part, the correct, I should say, not right and left, but the correct part of your brain. So we know that the right side of our body is controlled by the left side of the brain, and the left side of the body is controlled by the right side of the brain. And it's this cross-wire system. And so when you squeeze your right hand, you're essentially knocking on the door of your left brain. And when you squeeze your left hand, you're sending a signal to your right brain. Now, what does that really matter if you're trying to remember a course or a dressage test? Well, it's because our brain's hemispheres are specialists. So the theory suggests that your left brain, activated by squeezing your right hand, is the primary engine for encoding information. So it's the part of the brain that's the recorder, the one that's actively listening, the one that does the processing of any information that's sent to it, the one that kind of writes it all down, if you like, when you're studying for a test or you're trying to remember something. Now, your right brain is activated when you squeeze your left hand, and it's a specialist for retrieval of all that information. So it's more like a search engine, the one that can look for the specific recording that you need and pull out the details when you need them. So based on the research from 2013, the sequence for optimal recall, specifically for right-handed individuals, if you are a left-handed individual, swap everything over, is right hand to put the stuff into your head and then left hand to recall it. So let's just break it down a little bit. Let's say we've got a rider who wants to memorise a jumping course. So let's say the plan of the course is taped onto a post, or you're actually going to walk the course. So you need to encode the information. So you use your right hand. Okay. And from the study, they said that you needed a 90-second firm clench of the fist. So squeeze that right hand, and you're effectively priming your left hemisphere, and you're saying, focus, start now, because we need to record this information. And then as you're squeezing, you read the course, you walk the course, you maybe talk it through whilst you're doing that, either inside your head or out loud, and you're giving the recorder part of your brain the clearest signal that says, look, this isn't just scrolling on Instagram. This is information I want to retain, so please record it for me and write it all down. Okay, so now let's say you want to recall this. Either you want to just test yourself, or, you're the next horse to go and you're at the gate. You know that the recorder has done its job, but you want to now activate the search engine. So use your left hand and another firm 90-second clench. And this time you're activating your right hemisphere and you're saying, okay, all that recording, all that writing down that I did earlier, I want to pull out that file. And this is the prime retrieval system. So you take a deep breath and you start to squeeze your hand. And so you've kind of created a memory sandwich. You do your right hand, you read, you practice, you walk the course, you do your left hand, and you do your performance, or you test out your memory. So 90 seconds does sound like a long time. Well, you don't have to clench your hand into a dramatic fist. You can subtly squeeze. So if you were on your horse, if you could put your reins into one hand and you can just do a more subtle squeeze, or even you'll get so that you can do just a tiny touch around the reins and it won't influence your horse at all, because it's not through the physical effort, but through the nervous impulse. So I know this was quite a small study done in 2013, but the people who were right-handed and they did the right and then the left showed a better performance. It wasn't statistically significant across all measures, but it did mean that they could, in general, retain and recall information better. If you're left-handed, then to put the information in, use your left hand, and then to recall, use your right. So it's not going to guarantee you, 70 plus scores and clear rounds all the time. It's not as strong as maybe a visualization process, but it's one small physical way that you can help to anchor and give your brain and yourself a fighting chance against the performance anxiety that might be of the type where you're wondering if you really have got this in your memory. Have a little go. Let me know how it goes. I'm going to have a little go as well. You could always test it out with something non-written, like count to 10 in a foreign language or something, and see if that works for you. Take care, and I'll see you again really soon.